Good morning, folks. Welcome to North River. We're glad that you're here this morning worshiping with us and joining it during this time. I want to remind you that we have entered into the period that Christendom for years has called Lent. We Baptists have not been much on celebrating Lent, but we do here at North River. At North River, we set aside a period of time before Easter for our reflection. It's a time for our prayerfulness. It's a time to enhance our relationship with God. And so we're encouraging you to do three things during Lent this year. One, we want to encourage you to be in attendance every worship service during Lent. So starting today, every one of you can say, I'm going to be in Sunday. I'm going to be in worship every Sunday. Today's the first Sunday in Lent. And it'd be kind of neat if you just made that your challenge to be in worship every Sunday until Easter Sunday. The second thing that we're going to ask you to do is to set a time in your own personal life for prayer, whatever that may mean for you. For some of you, that may mean your morning devotions when you get up and you have a quiet time. I'm going to ask you, if you do that, to add another time or do something different. Break your pattern and enhance your prayer life by doing something different. My goal this year is to come here to pray. So every day I'm going to try to make a trip to the church and have a prayer time. That's going to break my pattern of how I pray and when I pray. But I'm asking you to break your pattern and do something different about prayer. And then the third thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to become a servant. Becoming a servant means that you do something for someone else beyond yourself. And here are some options that we'll give to you. We would prefer that you not volunteer or serve here at the church. You do that all the time. I would prefer that you find somewhere that you can serve. Spend one day at North Fulton Community Services and spend a day volunteering. Find a soup kitchen and go and volunteer one day at a soup kitchen. Find a homeless place and go and spend some time with homeless people. But find a place. Rebuild your neighbor's deck if that's the kind of thing that you do. By the way, I need a new deck if anybody would like to volunteer. Find something that you can do for someone else beyond your normal routine of doing that. Now, I know most of you serve a lot, and you do a lot of mission projects and those kind of things, but I'm going to ask you to think beyond yourself for a little bit and do something. Now, the thing that I'm qualifying here is that every one of us, from the youngest in the bunch, can serve, to the oldest in the bunch can serve. Now, Dan Luter may not be able to do the same things that Art Trahan can do, but that's not what we're asking you to do. What we're asking you to do is to find out what God has gifted you with. What has God provided you with? And what can you do with what God has done for you? There's an interesting story in the Old Testament about a guy named David. And David finds out that there's a giant out there that needs to be fought. And the interesting story about David and Goliath is that David goes to the creek bed and he picks up 5 stones. And he puts 5 stones in his pouch. It's interesting, he only needs one of those rocks. But in David's mind, could it possibly have been that I have all these options, but I want God to pick the rock? We have a lot of options on how we can serve, but why don't we let God select what it is that He would like for us to do? Maybe He'll make something very visible for you, and you can become a servant during the time of Lent. I'm not talking about a one-time event. I'm talking about something that may take a week after week after week after week for you to do. But think about those things and see if that doesn't enhance your spiritual life during the period of Lent. Let's join our hearts together as we worship.